At least 22 mummies were paraded on the streets of Egypt. You heard that right. A golden procession of 22 mummies was held in Cairo. And before we tell you why, let's first understand what mummies are. Most of you may already know this. A mummy is simply a person or animal whose body is preserved after death. It's a practice that existed in many civilizations, but it was the most prominent in Egypt. Ancient Egyptians believed that if your body rotted after you died, your spirit would suffer in afterlife. So to ensure the safety of their souls, many rich Egyptians arranged for their bodies to be preserved after death. The 22 mummies that were transported in Cairo belonged to royals, to the pharaohs of the New Kingdom, out of which 18 were kings and 4 were queens. The main attraction was the mummy of King Ramses II, the most famous pharaoh of the New Kingdom. He ruled for 67 long years. Another mummy was of Queen Hatshepsut. She became the ruler despite the customs of her time, which did not allow women to be pharaohs. Now, the grand parade was fun to watch, but it wasn't just for show. It had a purpose. Here's a report.
What you see is no ordinary procession. This is a grand parade of 22 ancient Egyptian mummies. They were all driven in special capsules across the streets of Cairo. Their destination was a new museum where they can be displayed in greater splendor. As the mummies reached their new home some 5 kilometers away from Cairo, a 21-gun salute was performed by the firing of cannons. The President of Egypt, Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, was himself present to receive the mummies. Also in attendance was the head of UNESCO and the World Tourism Organization. Now you may be wondering, why is transporting mummies such a big deal? Well, these are not ordinary mummies. These preserved bodies are of royals. They include 18 kings and 4 queens and date back 3,000 years to the ancient New Kingdom.
Either when Trajan takes the mummies away secretly in the dark of night when no one knows, or when does it like this, but in as much of a controlled way. And certainly, on one level, by doing it like this, with great pomp and circumstance, the mummies are getting their due. These are the kings of Egypt. I mean, these are the pharaohs. And so it is a way of showing respect.
But why have they been shifted? Well, these mummies have had a complex life. Ever since their discovery in the 19th century, they've been used primarily for amusement at various museums. This parade was an attempt to instill a sense of pride among Egyptians about their history. And interestingly, for start, the city where the new museum is located was the first ever capital of Egypt under Islamic rule.
On one level, I think it's for all the Egyptians, so that there's a sense of pride and understanding and a way for greater engagement with their own past. People should understand that these pharaohs are incredibly important historically, and also important now because this is part of Egypt's economy.
On a practical level, this parade was also a bid to help the ailing Egyptian economy and boost income. Tourism is one of the most important sources of national income in Egypt. But the tourism industry has received a painful blow due to the pandemic. Tourists to Egypt have dropped from 13.1 million in 2019 to 3.5 million in 2020. So what better to revive this industry than a mystical procession of the dead? Bureau Report, WION World is One.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.